Good morning, Cowboys Nation. Come sit down with me with your cup of coffee and join me for a Cowboys morning brew. We are on video for Boom Broadcasting. We are on audio for Fans First Sports Network. If you search up Star Study Cowboys Network on Spotify, you can follow us. And if you look up Boom Broadcasting on YouTube, you can subscribe to us both for free. I wish this coffee was free. We may need to get a sponsor here soon. But I have my App State coffee mug. I also need some Cowboys coffee mugs if the Jones family can send me some. But I want to talk about people who are coming from college and who made their debuts this past week against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I want to talk about there were 3 rookies who played in this game, opening night for the entire NFL season. And there was one who didn't play that I will also want to cover in this show. But there were several ones who were on the practice squad, like a Zion Childress, a Justin Barron, a Rivaldo Fairweather, a Trayshawn Holden. Phil Maffa is on IR, which was quite surprising. But that roster spot, it'll be interesting to see if Phil Maffa can have a spot on the roster after he is healed up. You have a Johnny Cornelius, you have Shamar James, you have Siobhan Revel Jr., the 3rd round corner. Hopefully, Revel can get healthy and play this year. But there was an inactive that was quite the surprise, and that was Jaydon Blue. Jaydon Blue, the rookie from Texas, was a healthy scratch for this Cowboys-Eagles game, and Brian Schottenheimer has commented on Blue's inactive status, saying that he needs to earn it pretty much, and said that there wasn't much consistency shown in training camp or the preseason. So I was really shocked by this. And Brian Schottenheimer, I think we might even do its own episode for his coaching debut this past week. But I was really disappointed in Jaydon Blue being left off the active roster. Now, I understand that Miles Sanders had beef with the Eagles, being a former Philadelphia Eagle, and now he has repented of his ways and become a Dallas Cowboy. But Miles Sanders had that big 49-yard run. Outside of that, it was 3 carries, 4 yards, and a fumble. And there is one specific clip where Miles Sanders hit the wrong hole, or else he would have had at least 12, 15 yards before he's ever touched. So for them to pick Miles Sanders to play the game over Jaydon Blue, who is electric, he is fast, and I think you should utilize his speed quickly and as best as you can. So the fact the Cowboys opted to choose Sanders versus Blue, and looking at how week 1 did turn out, I think Javonte Williams exceeded expectations. I don't think anyone expected him to run the ball as well as he did. But I wouldn't be surprised that in October would mean the Cowboys are going with Jaydon Blue versus Miles Sanders anyways. So keep an eye on that. If you drafted Jaydon Blue in your fantasy league, I'm sorry, may not be immediate. You may want to drop him, but don't worry. Your Cowboys faithful will monitor the situation and pick him up. There was only one offensive rookie who did play this past week, and it was first-round pick Tyler Booker. I was very critical because Tyler Booker didn't have preseason experience. They just handed him the starting role, and I feel like Tyler Booker would have benefited from some preseason action. But for this game against Philadelphia, he had 61 snaps and only allowed 2 pressures. So to put that into some context, he had 0 sacks, 0 hits on the quarterback that he gave up, and he had just 1 pressure on the quarterback through 41 snaps where Dak Prescott dropped back into the pocket trying to throw the ball. For a rookie against a Philadelphia Eagles team that is known defensively, and people are going to say, Carter was, kicked out of the game. They're going to try to rationalize what this Cowboys offensive line did, but this Cowboys offensive line was so impressive. And I go back to Saturday's episode that if CeeDee Lamb catches 2 of those 5 drops, maybe even 3 of those 5 drops, the Cowboys likely upset the defending champion Eagles a week after trading their best defensive player away. Because even with Jalen Carter out of the lineup, you still had Jordan Davis, who is a top defensive lineman. You still have Nolan Smith, who's a top edge rusher. You have Zach Bond, who just got that deal. I mean, they have pieces on that defensive front. Even though Jalen Carter is very talented, it's not the end-all, be-all for the Eagles that Jalen Carter's out and all of a sudden it's a mess. I mean, Tyler Booker had to go up against a Vic Fangio defense. And that defensive line against Jordan Davis, I was very impressed by Tyler Booker. And this is something that Dallas does very well, is draft offensive linemen. They've created their identity from drafting offensive linemen, dating back to, was it 2011 with Tyron Smith? And you got Travis Frederick in 2013, and you had Zach Martin in 2014. Even though they wanted the flashier picks like a Johnny Manziel the year that Zach Martin came out, Zach Martin had like 7 first-team All-Pro selections, which is baffling to me. I wrote an article about that for ProFootballInsiders.com. You guys can go check that out. 10 All-Pro selections in the last 15 years. Incredible by the Cowboys. And one of them obviously has just been traded, Micah Parsons, which we'll talk about, a rookie trying to fill those shoes this past week after a commercial break. But Tyler Booker really impressed. And let's be honest, Tyler Booker is going to have a tough start to his career. I mean, we're really going to see what Tyler Booker's made of. Yes, you got Philadelphia and you did a fantastic job. But the New York Giants, they have upgraded their defensive line. I mean, let's just run through some of these teams. You got the New York Giants. You got Abdul Carter. You got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got Brian Burns. You got Dexter Lawrence for the Giants. And then you have the Chicago Bears the following week. The Chicago Bears have Grady Jarrett, former Falcon. You have Montez Sweat. You have the Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. I mean, do we even have to mention Green Bay, who just traded for Micah Parsons and knows the weak link of that offensive line is going to be from center to right tackle. So Tyler Booker is going to be tested by one of the best pass rushers who has the most motivation in the world. So you have that against you. And then you have the New York Jets, who can be a little wishy-washy. It depends on how they're playing, but they still have Will McDonald. They still have Quinnen Williams. You follow that up with Washington and what they have and being led by Dan Quinn. I mean, and guys, I'm in week 7 right now. I am in week 7 where the Commanders have Javon Kinlaw and Deron Payne and Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise Jr. and has some really stout linebackers with like Frankie Louvu and Von Miller and Bobby Wagner, all veterans. And then you have Denver. Let's mention Denver, who was one of the best defensive units, period, last year. So all of a sudden, you're 8 weeks in, you're 2 months into the season for this rookie guard. So I say it all the time. It takes really 3 years to tell me if a player is good, particularly a quarterback. A quarterback can have a really strong rookie season, and then there's tape on you, and you fall off for a sophomore slump. And then the third year is where we really see you. The first year, you might be transitioning to the NFL and trying to get your feet under you. And the second year, you build on what you had the first year. And then by the third year, okay, are you on the trajectory of you're getting comfortable and you know how the NFL works? For Tyler Booker, we are going to understand exactly who he is and what he brings to the table in the first 8 weeks. We are going to know if this pick was worth the first round selection or if they should have went elsewhere. That's Tyler Booker. The next 7 weeks are going to be paramount to see if Tyler Booker is going to be an all-pro or if he's going to be somebody who's a liability on that offensive line. But when we come back from the commercial break and my coffee break, we're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball because we had 2 defensive linemen playing in this game. Next on Cowboys Morning Brew. Welcome, Cowboys Morning Brew. I'm your host, Michael Davis, on Boom Broadcasting, on Fans First Sports Network. These early mornings are getting better for me. I will say that. I love starting my day talking about the Cowboys. I love starting my day before I get to work. And one of the things I like is it was a little bit better than I expected for the Cowboys. We had 2 things that I wanted to share, and one of them is Donovan Ezeiruaku. He is the second round pick. He only had 22 snaps, but he had a tackle. He had a pressure. His box score seemed quiet, without a better way to say it. But he was going up against literally one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, if not the best offensive line in the NFL currently with the Philadelphia Eagles. But he had a nice play on Jordan Mailata. He nearly got a sack on Jalen Hurts. And one of the things that you need to realize when it comes to edge rushers is it's not always the sack total. Yes, you would love a Trey Hendrickson who's getting and leading the league in sacks. But one of the things that we're going to miss with Micah Parsons is Micah got home often. And if he didn't get home, he was in your front yard. He was in your face and he was bearing down on you like a lion. Micah Parsons brought an intensity. He brought just any play you knew Michael was going to relentlessly get into the backfield. Now, there's debates whether he played out of the system. There's all these debates like, did he matter much in the win total? What I do know is he had to force teams to game plan around him, run the ball away from his side, and it had to be a game plan around Micah Parsons. And I mentioned this on Saturday's episode. The Cowboys don't have a star on defense where they have to game plan away from you. So for any of these defensive linemen, their stats can collectively come up if they try hard enough, because they're not being on one side or the other. The one side of the field's not eliminated anymore. So for Ezeiruaku, one thing that's with him is it's not all on him. He has a veteran in Dante Fowler Jr. He has former second-round pick Marshawn Nealon along with him. He has former second-round pick Sam Williams around with him. They have some people on the defensive side of the ball as well. And unfortunately, Perion Winfrey, a preseason standout, is now on IR. He was placed on IR yesterday. And then you have like defensive linemen like Kenny Clark, Osa Digizua, Solomon Thomas, who are going to help overall. And it's going to be a collective effort versus anything we've experienced in the past when we've had a star like Micah Parsons. But Donovan Ezeiruaku, I think it's going to take him about half a year, maybe even a full year, to fully understand what his role is and how he can be the most effective. But there's going to be times that he gets home. There's going to be times that you're like, oh, this guy has flashes. Now, the other defensive player to debut in week 1 was Jay Toia. Toia made his season debut coming from UCLA as a 7th round pick. Toia had about the same amount of production as Ezeiruaku, getting 20 snaps and having a tackle. I will go ahead and say this. Jay Toia, if you look at the box score and if you see the Eagles rush for 158 yards, got 14 first downs through running, you're going to say, okay, well, this didn't help the run defense. Jay Toia was picked, whether for better or worse, ahead of former first-round pick Mazi Smith. So I don't know if this says more about Toia and just his acceleration, and he just had like a really tough test against Hurts and Barkley. Because when Kenny Clark was in this game versus when Kenny Clark was out of this game, this run defense looked a lot different. Not a lot of people are going to talk about that, but it did. For Jay Toia to get 20 snaps tells me more about what the Cowboys do not see Mazi Smith doing. Mazi Smith is done. I've said it. This is 7 episodes of Cowboys Morning Brew. Mazi Smith is done. He's done. It's over. If you're going to start, can we really wrap our head? I don't think we can wrap our head around a 7th round pick being 1 on the 53-man roster and 2 being on the active roster and 3 earning 20 snaps against the defending Super Bowl champion, number 1 running offense, Philadelphia Eagles, over a former first-round pick. Entering his 3rd year? He was in 2023. So for Mazi Smith to be sidelined in favor of Jay Toia, who isn't quite ready yet, isn't like a standout defensive tackle hitting gym yet. He's a project. It's over, Mazi. It is over. And the only thing worse about Mazi Smith being a bust and not knowing what you can get out of him, the Cowboys drafted him 26 overall. We could hit at that time of the draft anyways, but both of those Green Bay Packer selections are likely going to be in that mid to late 20 range because of how stacked this Green Bay Packers team is, especially when you give them a generational talent like Micah Parsons. So, yeah, Mazi benched, healthy scratch. Jay Toia, 7th round pick, 20 snaps. Okay, he was there, and he got a really big test that opening week. Kenny Clark, yes, he helped the run game when he was in play, but on the verge of 30, the likelihood of Kenny Clark being here 5 years like Micah Parsons would have been is slim to none. So that's what you can really gather from these rookies. And not only do they get their opportunity, but they tell you a lot about what the Cowboys believe about the rest of their players. This has been Cowboys Morning Brew. Thank you for tuning in, starting your morning with myself and your cup of coffee. We're going to get out of here, and we'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. on Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. Whether you're going to work or school or you're just having a lazy day on the couch, I hope this was a great start to your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.